Welcome back to my Roman kitchen. For our second recipe, we're going to be showing you a patina, which is actually a Latin word for a frittata. So think about a quiche without the pastry, and it's something that is turned out according to the recipe, which is quite complex when you're using ceramics, but we're going to see whether it'll be successful. It may not, so we warn you in advance. It's going to be made with mixed nuts and honey and eggs and milk and wine. We start with roasted nuts. So I've already roasted my almonds, and we're going to roast some pine nuts. It's only about 30 grams of each, and also some walnuts. And when they're nice and hot, they're much easier to grind. While they are roasting, you can see the oven lit, and it's been burning for about an hour and a half. And it's full of embers. Now the embers is what I want to cook my frittata with. So when I'm ready, I'm going to pull those embers out onto the hearth, and then I'm going to use that oven to roast a chicken. It's not part of our demonstration, and in fact the chicken is for lunch for me and my husband. But it's just going to be used to make use of the heat, because once you've heated the oven up, you need to use it. While they get a little bit warmer, I will always start with pepper with Roman food. There are very few recipes that don't start with ground pepper. So this is a frittata. It's a sweet one. It's got honey in it. I would class it as a dessert, but it contains fish sauce. So it's a complex flavour, but the umami is necessary and it works very well. But it's a delicate fish sauce, a light one. So we start again by grounding our pepper, just to open the little ball bearings up, and then making it fine. And then we'll start with our almonds, because they are pre-roasted and nice and warm, which is the good thing. We won't want them to be warm. And then we start to grind. Because they're warm and dry, they break up quite easily. Oh, the smell of warm almonds and pepper coming up. It's beautiful. It's a magical smell. So I think that will do, because they're not fine yet, but they'll continue to get fine as I add the other nuts. Let's give those a toss, and I'm getting some colour, which is great. And I don't want them to burn, because that would spoil the taste. They would become bitter. So we're almost ready, because I can hear them hissing. And I think we will add them. Right. So it's kind of hard work at this point. We have to just sort of keep on going. We're going to get a bit closer. You can push it towards you and twist the bowl. And the smell, is it? Oh, now we've got the walnuts and the pine nuts. The smell is beautiful. Oops, don't want to lose any. There's a few that have caught, but that won't hurt. So we want a bit of texture, so I think I'll stop fairly soon, because apart from anything else, my arm is beginning to ache. I will stop there. So we're going to add honey. Just going to release them all so we're not too stuck. We're going to be quite generous with the honey, because this is a dessert. So let's say 2 dessert spoons, a little bit more just for good measure. Okay, and we're going to add our eggs. Apologies for the printed eggs, but there we are. This is all we can get to these days. 4 eggs. And then we'll give it a beat. Now the liquids that go in after this, if you're making an omelette, really and truly, you don't add very little. You add very little liquid. So we want to add just enough to add flavour and improve its texture, but not too much that it'll become too soft. We want a firm patina because the diners have to use their fingers to pick it up, of course. So we're almost there. We're going to add our liquids now. This is a acetabulum. It's called a little vinegar cup, and they actually hold about 60 millilitres. So I'm going to use that as my measure, and we want 40, so a little bit low off the top, of wine, good white wine. So there we are. And then 40 of a really nice, rich, this is gold top as we call it in the UK, full fat milk. And there's a little bit of fat there. Let's add that. It won't come to the surface. There we are. Just want enough to loosen the egg. That'll do. And the fish sauce, but we'll give it a beat first. So we're pretty much there, apart from the fish sauce. This is a very light fish sauce. It's actually called coloratura d'Uelici, and it comes from the region of Italy around the Bay of Naples. And it's a light fish sauce that's actually made by salting anchovy, but you don't dissolve the anchovy. So the anchovy actually stay whole. So it's a brine associated with salting fish rather than a dissolved fish sauce. So it's a little lighter. It still has umami, and it still gives you what you want when you're adding fish sauce, but it's not quite so punchy. Some kinds of fish sauce can be more punchy than others, as I'm sure you know. So we're there. So now we're ready to begin the process of pulling out the embers. Continue to use the charcoal that's there, but I will mix it with the embers. And I'm afraid for this I do have to have some protection. It is very hot and it burns the back of your arms, so these are essential. So start to pull. And actually, we're even going to put on another glove because that's too hot. That's better, I can work now. That is, sorry. Now, Rod, if you don't mind, I'm going to walk around the other side. So I need to get everything out. I think that'll do. Now I'm going to put an oven thermometer in, just to see what kind of temperature we have. You always leave a bit in there, a little bit around the corners. So here are embers. They are quite gentle, but in terms of their, they don't have a sustained heat, so it rapidly cools off, and so you can cook delicate things. And I'm going to cook it my patina in this. This is a special, it's a bowl that has a lovely curved bottom, and I'm going to oil it. I'm going to keep these guards on because it's so hot here now. It's not pleasant to be near the fire. So we oil our dish, and then we basically hanker it down in the embers. There we are. There we are. Level it up. There's a lot of embers here, probably more than I need. Thinking about the size of our little patina. But some of the embers, as you will see, will go on the lid. So that oil will get, I can see it's getting hot quite quickly. We will pour our patina in. So now we put our lid on because we don't want ash inside there. Try not to have ash inside there. So now we're going to add bits of coal to the top. We want heat coming down from above. The Romans didn't have grills, they couldn't obviously use a proper grill because they didn't have heat that they could direct downwards, but they could do it this way. It's very clever. The heat penetrates down through the lid, and so it will cook the centre of the patina, because of course the centre will take a long time to cook. It'll be running for a while, but with the heat on the top makes all the difference. And we want a little bit of coals around the outside too. I'm just looking at the temperature, and it looks about 480, which is pretty good for a chicken. It's probably a little too hot for a chicken, but we will we'll watch it so it doesn't burn. So I'm going to take this thermometer out. You don't need it there now. And we're going to add our chicken. It's not a Roman chicken, it's a sumac and garlic chicken for our lunch, and it's going straight in. It should probably take about an hour because that is quite fierce, and it will probably become lovely and toasty. So I need to find my oven door. So I have a heavy duty oven door for things like meat, and I have a much lighter one for bread, but this is very, very heavy. There we are. And it normally has to be propped up, but we can't prop it up today because we're in the way. I can see in, so we'll have to watch that. But it's good because it's so fiercely hot in there. It's probably better to have a bit of ventilation. So now I will continue adding my coals. You can see how quickly the embers have shrunk. I'm also going to push them closer to the bottom of the dish, all the way around, and push it in. They shrink rapidly, and when you think about the latent heat, the latent potential to cook that these embers have, I think it's very clever of the Romans to develop recipes that use these embers, and it's very clear from the recipes that that's what they're doing. And in fact, this structure, oven and platform, doesn't exist very often, but it does exist in a small kitchen in Herculaneum. It's specifically this way, and so that's what we based our reconstruction on. Okay, so we probably want about 20 minutes, and then I will, at some point we will open it up to have a look and see whether we've completely overcooked it or it's perfect. And there will be, I will start to smell it as it cooks.
So some nice smells coming out.
Yeah, there's some lovely smells coming out now, and I can hear a sizzle. Until I start to smell a really sort of toasted smell, I won't open it up, because it's obviously complicated to put the fire back on again after you've taken it off.
Sure.
But having said that, one recipe that uses this technique actually says take the fire off and have a look and put it back. Oh. So they were patient about these things. What we have to wait for is that when it's cooked, I will then let it sit for a little. We have to see if it turns out, because the recipe actually says this is a patina that you turn out, and it could stick. Actually, the sizzle was the chicken, not the patina. That's interesting. Oh, wait, tell a lie, there's a little bit of a sizzle. I will leave the lid in the centre, but I will take this off the sides, and then I can just get an idea of what's going on. It's good to know what's going on, and that's coming undone, so excuse me. There we are. With the little bit of fear and doubt in my mind that it might be very overcooked. Yay! that is done. That's done very quickly, and it's let me give it a wobble. Yes, look. Well, look. There's a little bit of underdone in the middle, but at the same time, it is as if it was an omelette. And I'm going to put the lid back on and move all the embers away, and only have the heat from the top. Push it all away because it's catching. You can see it's catching on the bottom. It's certainly cooked all around the outside, but it's not cooked in the middle. And we want it to turn out. We do want a solid. I don't want it to overcook either. So that is this is the equivalent of turning the gas down. Is to literally just push the fire. I think taking the embers from the outside was a good decision. So yes, you can see, but it's also set in the middle, which is perfect. That's what we want. So yes, it's nice and toasted. I mean, which is good. It's just that the outer edge is slightly burnt. And it's coming away. Actually, it is coming away. So here we are, little palette knife. Perfect. Yeah, that will come out. I think that will come out. So I'm going to take these off now because it's getting a bit too warm. Now the fire has died down, and it's not easy to work in them when you have them on all the time. I may put them back on again later. So we can turn this out and see what we have. Oh well, not a pretty sight, but it is out. And what we will do is imagine we are the Roman cook, and this is our patina, and it's got to go into the dining room, and the guest and the host won't like it because it doesn't look pretty. So we tart it up. To start with, they always sprinkled pepper onto the food that went into the dining room. Many of the recipes simply state pepper asparges, sprinkle with pepper, et infores, and serve it out. So we will sprinkle it with pepper, and we will pour extra honey on it. That will make a difference. There we are. There. Doesn't that look better already? So, Patina versatilis, according to the recipe. A little overcooked, but I think it'll taste good. I know it'll taste good. And I'm going to take the edge. Oh. Yes. Absolutely lovely. Shall I cut you a piece, Rod?
You best had.
There we are.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
See, it seemed like a disaster, but it wasn't.
Tastes great.
It says 300, so it's a little bit cool now for a roast chicken, so we may have to take it upstairs and put it in a modern oven. It can't be helped. Okay, so Patina versatilis with honey and mixed nuts. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have enjoyed watching it. And that's all, folks.